A very good morning, everybody, here from Karting in Mariembourg in southeast Belgium. This is the second day of action of the second round of the 2019 BNL Karting Series season. My name is Alex Goldschmidt, the official series commentator, and we are underway with our first of multiple qualifying sessions this morning. 5 in total, then we'll have a total of 10 races to conclude what will be the halfway point this season. Currently out at the moment, we have Micromax. There has been a change in the revisions of the results from yesterday, following a lengthy inquiry. So at the moment, we're just seeing who is going to put it on pole position. The first of 2 races today, 2 finals. The first one will be 10 minutes plus an additional lap in duration. So 3 minutes and 17 on the clock to go. Currently leading the way is the current points leader, Tommy van der Stroys, and the number 54 in the Paralin chassis. Max Swiderski in the 19, currently in second, ahead of Kasper Schomans, who took one of the victories yesterday. So we have had, officially speaking, 3 different winners throughout the season thus far. Dries van Langendonk, who had a bit of a disaster in the office yesterday, is currently running in 4th place, ahead of Thomas Strauven. Mieke van der Pijvert, who has been in the trenches through the last couple of races yesterday, is showing a good sign of pace, initially in 6th position. So Dries van Langendonk now jumps up into 1st place, and now that's quickly usurped by both the likes of Max Swiderski. Now puts it on provisional pole with a 1 minute 2.184. Olivier Jonkers in 2nd, Kasper Schomans in 3rd. Thomas Strauven and Tommy van der Stroys round out the top 5, all separated by just over 0.4 of a second. So again, it's showing to be quite a close fought encounter in Micromax. So we've gone past the halfway mark in the qualifying, as drivers are still jostling for position. So Karel Stout gets overtaken by both Tommy van der Stroys and one of the GKS drivers. I think that might have been, could have been Olivier Jonkers. Not quite sure, but we will see very, very soon. So some of the drivers making their way through the chicane that brings them onto the main start-finish straight. And some drivers using the toe very much to their advantage, which does include Matej Radenkovic in the number 99, who I think is just ahead of Max Swiderski at the moment. Well, no, that's Karel Stout. So there are several drivers trying to do their very best. Tommy van der Stroys is in 4th, current points leader by my estimation, and is ahead of Thomas Strauven, as again we get into towards the last minute of qualifying, and the drivers are trying to use slipstreaming opportunities as much as they can here at Mariembourg. There's a lot of technical sections, but also some very fast sweeping corners, which includes the left-hander at turn number 4. And if you can really get a good run out of 3, you've got a perfect opportunity to send it up the inside. And we have seen it where there have been times when karts have gone 2 abreast and been close to 3 abreast at points. So who knows what might happen. 45 seconds on the clock remaining. Olivier Jonkers is in prime position to take pole in this particular session. 5 minutes in total. As Max Swiderski definitely hot on the heels of Matej Radenkovic, and as a result, well, Kasper Schomans hits the front of the field with around about 30 seconds on the clock remaining. The number 40 from the Netherlands puts in a 1 minute 1.980. Then it's Jonkers, Swiderski, Strauven, van der Stroys, Stout, Dries van Langendonk, Matej Radenkovic, Mieke van der Pijvert, Tom van Langendonk and Mick van den Berg rounding out the 11 strong, all separated by just over 1.9 seconds. Time's going to expire when this gaggle of 4 karts, which looks to have Tommy van der Stroys in the middle of it. Time's expired now, so the checkered flag will be prepared on the start-finish line. And it's very close again. It's 0.081 between Schomans and Jonkers in the fight for pole, and Swiderski's only just over 1/10 of a second behind in terms of pure qualifying pace. But we could find out momentarily who is going to be the one that sticks it on pole position for the 3rd of 4 races this weekend. So Jonkers goes past the stripe. No, that was Van Langendonk, my apologies there. Van der Stroys has dropped down the order and ends up 6th. Still a few more competitors. I think Mieke van der Pijvert is the only one that hasn't, has just crossed the line. And that concludes the session. So Kasper Schomans takes pole position for race 3 of 4 at the second round of the BNL Karting Series here at Mariembourg by just 0.081 of a second. And alongside Casper on the front row will be the number 16 of Belgium's Olivier Jonkers. Thomas Strauven in the number 9 and Max Dursky in the number 19 will round out row number 2. Matej Radenkovic qualified ahead of Tommy van der Stroys. So Radenkovic was 11 hundredths quicker than the current points leader in the 54. Karel Stout will start 7th. Mika van der Pijvert in 8th with the 2 Wangelangendonks. Dries ahead of Tom. So 15 and 26 round out the top 10. Then it's Mick Vandenberg that rounds out the 11 strong. As I said earlier, all covered by 1.971 seconds. So in terms of the weather, for those watching on the live stream at home, thank you very much for joining us. Air temperature currently 16 degrees Celsius. Local time is just fast approaching 9:30 in the morning. We'll be having action all the way through to around about 3:45 this afternoon local time. We will also have our prize-giving ceremony at the podium at 4 o'clock local time. So if you're in the UK, you're an hour behind us, so that'll be 3 o'clock this afternoon. Also, if you're watching in the US, you're probably about 5 hours behind, so it's going to be the wee hours of the morning at the moment, so probably about half past 4, half past 3 in the morning. So thank you once again for continuing to support the BNL Karting Series. I know that there is a lot of people that enjoy this internationally recognised championship, which is in its 11th season. And it has been a very, very difficult affair, I think, for a lot of drivers, because this is a new track for the BNL Karting Series for 2019. Up until recently, Austricourt in France was the other track that was used by the BNL Karting Series. We do have our grand finale of the 11th season of competition at Karting Genk, the home of champions, where we started with the BNL Karting Series kick-off at around in late February before the first round in March. So it has been... there's been a lot of competitions going on across continental Europe, and there's a lot of drivers that will be heading off to the Rotax Max Euro Trophy halfway point next weekend at the Azulring at the Christian Sub Karting Club. Entries are still open for that, so you can also enter that as well if you wish. I think there's around about 100 competitors registered so far for that championship for this coming weekend. Over 20 different nationalities. Also another great championship as well. But the BNL Karting Series has been welcomed with open arms. Thank you very much to Karting Defang for allowing us to grace you guys with our presence, and it's a fantastic facility. I think we're all very impressed here, myself included, and I think it's a very nice place here in Mariembourg. So one qualifying session completed. Casper Schomans takes pole position for race number 3 out of 4. As per yesterday's schedule, the first final today will be 10 minutes plus an additional lap, and then it will be 13 minutes plus an additional lap for the fourth and final race of the weekend. So next up we'll have the Minimax competitors out on track. 1,388 metres here at Karting Defang. So we're just south of Liège and about 2 hours south of Karting Genk itself by car. And also for those wanting to follow the relevant social medias on the BNL Karting Series, you can first of all go to our official website, bnlkartingseries.com. We are also on Facebook, so if you go into the search icon at the top, the search engine, type in BNL Karting Series, you will find us. We're also broadcasting live direct from the circuit via our audio stream partners for 2019, Downforce Radio. And Downforce Radio is also not just providing coverage of this, but also the ongoing final day of the 2019 Goodwood Festival of Speed with Chairman and Founder and CEO Jake Sanson over there at the moment. Seeing all the sights and sounds and all the wonderful machinery that's there from past, present, and what we could see with future road car and future race car technology. Definitely on show thanks to the Duke of Richmond, whose estate hosts it every single year, and it attracts a big crowd. So the highs in terms of the temperatures today, we're probably looking at a high of around about 19 to 20 degrees Celsius. And at the moment we have a north-north-easterly wind of around about 4 miles per hour. Humidity's at about 81% at the moment. It did drop during the course of yesterday. So this will help the drivers. There was some rainfall overnight, but the track looks very, very dry indeed. But obviously the drivers will have to watch out if they have to use avoiding action, because if the grass is still damp from any rainfall, it will cause the tyres to go a little bit colder and also a bit greasier in terms of the tyre surface. So with regards to the social media side of it, as I said earlier, you can go onto Facebook. We're also on Instagram at BMC_BNL. We're also on Twitter as well at Karting BNL. Please feel free to connect with us. We also do follow back people that do like our championship and also have a passion for karting just like we do. And we are also broadcasting live thanks to the timing is being provided by MW Race Consulting, with the live stream being provided by Camp Company GmbH, based in Germany. So we have about 60 seconds remaining before we get our second of 5 qualifying sessions. DD2 and DD2 Masters as per yesterday. We have a total of 18 competitors here this weekend, and they will be running in the same sessions concurrently, so they'll be qualifying at the same time and also racing at the same time. So we have 6 classes here this weekend, all powered by the Rotax Max engines, 125 cc's, all running centrifugal clutches with a mixture of dry and wet clutch applications. So the second qualifying out of 5 sessions gets underway right now, and we have Minimax out on track. So we have the likes of Tim and Nick Gerhards in the numbers 50 and 60. Matthias van Goethen, who had a very difficult first race yesterday morning, where the exhaust was definitely a lot louder than it should be according to technical regulations. And we've had a spinner just out of turn 2 already. So because the air temperature is a little bit colder, and that was number 60, Nick Gerhards, that went spinning 90 degrees to the right off of turn number 2. And we've got drivers just get themselves into the right position. They want to make sure they've got plenty of track time. And we've got somebody else off of turn number 4 trying to rejoin the session. So that driver's now got back underway. And, well, there's more dramas off of turn number 7, so it's not been easy for some of the Minimax competitors. It looks to be either Tim or Nick Gerhards, by my reckoning, that has just had that happen. So first bank laps will be put in, and the 2 at the front are Tern Schmidt and Enzo Boll. Boll goes quickest. Schmidt goes quickest with a 1 minute 15.158. Now that is definitely a lot different to the pace that we saw from them yesterday. But it's early days in the qualifying session at the moment. So Tern Schmidt is quickest of everybody at the minute. So 1 minute 15.158 from the Dutch driver, ahead of Enzo Boll and Jaden Thien, who did the double yesterday. Thien is currently running in 3rd quickest on a 1 minute 16.728. Jules Van Huel in the 1:21 is 4th, ahead of Ralph van der Bevert. Jens van der Heijden, Nick Gerhards down in 7th at the moment. Matthias van Goethem in 8th. Tim Gerhards. Now this, I think that might have been him that was beached off the outside of turn 7, or had spun 90 degrees to the left. And Annabel Brian from the Netherlands also competing, and Annabel's completed a 1 minute 33.778. Hopefully the times will drop a little bit more, but that will depend on ultimately what the weather might decide, because the clouds are a bit greyer than they were yesterday. Times are now coming in, and they've dropped by about 8 seconds. Well, maybe make that 9, because Nick Gerhards has put in an absolute flyer. The number 60 from the Netherlands has just put in a 1 minute 6.168, but has quickly been deposed as Annabel Brian goes fourth quickest on a 1 minute 6.801 as the 1-2-3. Jaden Thien now hits the top of the timesheets, a 1 minute 5.368. That is 0.314 seconds quicker than Tim Gerhards. Nick in third, Annabel Brian in fourth. Ralph van der Pavert sitting in fifth at the moment ahead of Jens van der Eyden. Enzo Bol, last year's BNL Rotax Golden Trophy runner-up in this class, behind Bruno Mulders, who's actually racing in Junior Max this weekend, down in seventh. So the Dutch driver in the 155 has to try and find the best part of around 2 seconds over the next minute and a half of this qualifying session. Let's see if there's an improvement from Turnschmidt. There is. But then Ralph van der Pavert and Jens van der Eyden also changed the timesheets, as does Nick Gerhards once again. So Gerhards goes quickest, a 1 minute 1.034. But then Tim Gerhards goes in at top. Jaden Thien just behind by nearly 0.2 of a second as we go into the last 60 seconds of this Minimax qualification session. Annabel Brian now up into ninth ahead of Matthias van Goethum. In the top 9 separated by just over 1.3 seconds. 50 on the clock remaining. Who's going to put it on pole for day 2 of round 2 for the 2019 BNL Karting Series? As Tim Gerhards is flying at the moment. The 50 from the Netherlands has just put in a 1 minute .842. So that is a pretty quick lap. Let's see, will Gerhards have enough time, or maybe even enough laps to put in a sub 60? We might find out very shortly how he's going to get on. As Enzo Bol goes top, Jens van der Eyden responds, and then so does Nick Gerhards and is only 0.2 off. Jaden Thien goes top and breaks the 60-second barrier with a 59.673. What can Tim Gerhards do to respond? So, time has now expired on the clock. That is it. Let's see where people end up. Will Thien be able to capitalise and put himself in prime position for this morning's race? Because Tim Gerhard's last lap was a 1 minute 3. So Tim Gerhard's on the back foot in this qualifying session. But they do say the times of the show points are to go. And Jaden Thien has been the one that's been running away with it this weekend, unlike Tim Gerhard's back at Genk in late March. So Enzo Bol is going to complete his last flying lap. Where does that put him? Puts him second ahead of Turnschmidt at the moment provisionally. And so Jens van der Eyden takes third. Ralph van der Pavert seventh. Jaden Thien goes quicker again by 6/1000ths of a second. But no, Tim Gerhards nips it at the flag by 1/100th. I knew there was something in the tank from the number 50. And Tim Gerhards on the last attempt. That's definitely reminiscent of quick-fire qualifying, especially when you look at Formula One and you wait to see who's going to come across the line and who's going to do the best. And Tim Gerhards just pulled it out of the bag when he absolutely needed to. So Tim Gerhards takes pole in Minimax qualifying for day 2 on a 59.657. Jaden Thien, a 59.667. Enzo Bol rounds out the top 3 with a 1 minute .171. Jens van der Eyden just 9/1000ths of a second adrift. Then it is .029 back to Turnschmidt from the Netherlands in the 166 in 5th place. And Nick Gerhards could have actually got up into 5th place because he was only 1/1000th of a second close away from Turnschmidt. Matthias van Goethum, Ralph van der Pavert, Jules Van Huel and Annabel Brian round out the 10 strong. All 10 drivers separated by 1.451 seconds at the end of that session. So we've had our fair share of action, it must be admitted. I do have to give a shout out to Paulo de Oliveira, Guilherme's dad. Guilherme running in Junior Max. Obviously, they'll be qualifying next. But to say the way that I said about coming to BNL and putting the cat amongst the pigeons. Of course, it was a shame for the Portuguese driver through a tyre fitment discrepancy that he was then put to the back for final number 2, having made his way all the way up to what would have been 3rd position. But he still came fighting back. I had a chat with Guilherme yesterday, and he said, it sort of compromised my weekend. I said, look, the only thing you can do is just do your best, and you've seen how people can fly through the field. Guilherme's in Senior Max, my apologies. I said, look at what happened with Kai Hunter yesterday. Kai had a disaster in one of the finals, and then came back from last. And that was in the first final, where I think everyone was surprised, myself included. And he came back to finish in 15th position. So Junior Max is getting ready in the dummy grid. Coming into today, Mike van Voost continues a 100% success rate at the moment. There are some drivers that I need to keep an eye on quite considerably. And there is one driver I do need to mention because, courtesy of his father Chris, Tom Adams, who is racing with us this weekend. I've got a bit of information for those watching at home. He's the current English plate holder. So he's the E-Plate champion. He's currently the Junior Max champion in both Wilton Mill and Clay Pigeon. So Wilton Mill based in Northamptonshire, half an hour from Silverstone, and then Clay Pigeon based down in Dorset. He's also currently leading the Junior Max Championship at Clay Pigeon, and of course his brother is his brother Mike. His big brother Mike is his mechanic, and it seems like. Now, I was speaking to his dad, Chris, yesterday afternoon, and Chris was like saying, in practice we were finding ourselves in sort of like, 15th position at times, and then Tom comes flying out of the gate, and I was very impressed by him, and managed to get a couple of top 5s yesterday. So we'll see that there's quite a few drivers in this category. Of course, the standout performer at the moment is Mike van Voost, who is the current defending BNL Karting Series Junior Max champion. He was a 3-time champion last year. He took the inaugural Rotax Max Euro Trophy Championship before we'd even hit Wackersdorf, the Chrono Karting Dutch Championship, and of course, Mike's been racing in OK Junior this year as well. So he's been very, very busy. I've also been keeping a few tabs on other drivers that have run in the BNL Karting Series, one of which is last year's Rotax Max Grand Finals champion, Holland's Robert de Haan. So good to see he's doing his best in new adventures, new challenges as well. And I know that he is running in the FIA Academy Trophy, representing the Netherlands. And funny thing is that Robert was the winner, but Mike has been very, very open and honest about this, that he wants to go to Sarno and he wants to hit the top step. So I definitely don't doubt his ability at all. It's a combination of many, many things when it comes to putting that race weekend together. And as I said earlier, this is a new track. And there are drivers that have come here and they've found, any new track is going to throw any potential challenge to anyone, irrespective of their skill level. And there will be some that will shine, there will be some that will find it very difficult. But the thing is that you have to deal with the ups and downs of racing. I mean, everyone goes through their trials and tribulations out on the racetrack in many different aspects. There's quite a long discussion I could have with a few people, but I'm more interested in who's going to do what here this weekend. So we are about 3 minutes away from Junior Max qualifying. Tom Reinertz has been another standout performer this weekend. Daniel Ginchard with Persistence Motorsport, another. Callum Boyson, I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on in qualifying. He didn't have the best of luck yesterday, having had an incident in final number 1. Started right from the very back in final 2, managed to get to up as high as 20th position and had to settle for 21st. And there is a lot of good talent in this Junior Max field. Jules Castro has also been running well this weekend. He's had a couple of top 5 finishes himself. So it's going to be interesting to see how the the atmospheric conditions now change the different dynamic that we could have for day number 2. And as I say, I don't like making predictions. I'm not here to do that because, as I said yesterday, I don't want to put any sort of curse on anybody, because at the end of the day, everyone has a fair opportunity in qualifying and also in the racing to get that marker lap down and to also have that opportunity of fighting at the sharp end of the grid. And there have been battles up and down the order in Junior Max this weekend, but also throughout the 2019 BNL Karting Series season. Also, for those listening at home on Downforce Radio, thank you very much for joining us. Just to let you all know that if you are in your cars, please make sure that your phones are connected to your infotainment and sat-nav screens, because we want you to drive safe as well. But you can listen along with us. We're broadcasting via Downforce Radio, who are our dedicated audio partners for 2019. So there are multiple ways in which you can keep up with the action here at Mariembourg at Karting de Fagne. Where there is also live timing, which you can find via via Motorsport Events. So it's www.motorsport-events.se/BNL live/hash. So we're broadcasting all the way through today and also throughout the 2019 racing season. 25 Junior Max competitors ready in the dummy grid, ready to go out on the track here. Very shortly, in around about the next 5 or 6 minutes, we'll decide who our third pole sitter of the day is. Yesterday was Mike Van Vugt. Let's see if anyone has an answer for the youngster from Boxham, just 14 years of age. And so impressed with him last year. I've got to know the guy, and he's very, very skilled behind the wheel, but he's also one of the characters. I think at the end of the day, I think he started learning another language as well. So considering when I've spoken to him in interviews. So here we go, 5 minutes on the clock. Now it's time to decide Junior Max qualifying. So Kai Hielertz on the CRG chassis, had a chat with him and his dad last night. Struggling a little bit, but they're hoping for a bit more pace today. Matthew Higgins he wants to be higher up in the top 10, as his official Matthew Higgins Racing Facebook page has admitted. Bartavit has been in the trenches down at the bottom part of the top 10. Maurice Schuring, I think, has really benefited from the change of moving to JJ Racing, which is the same stable as Mike Van Vugt. Expect Chris Haanen to provide a few surprises as well. The 264 running with Coles Racing. He came flying through the field in the second final, started in 18th position, finished in 6th. 4 minutes on the clock. Going to find out who we're going to be putting in the banker laps first. So Christian de Klein crosses the line first and sets a benchmark of 59.941, but then Tom Heinertz from GKS, the Dutch driver in the 237, goes top with a 59.192. Kai Hielertz from Belgium in the 274 is third, but Chris Haanen jumps up to third now. So it's a Dutch clean sweep of the top three at the minute, but Jules Castro now fires a salvo back across the bows of the Dutch contingent, as does Daniel Ginchard. So Ginchard's gone to within 2.5 tenths of a second of provisional pole sitter currently. That is the 237 of Tom Heinertz from the Netherlands, who's just put in a 59.192. Van Vugt currently sitting at 5th at the minute, ahead of Maurice Schuring. Chris Haanen, Kai Hielertz, Flint Schuring and Callum Voisin now round out the top 10. So times will drop again. We've gone into the sub-57s. The first one to do that was Kai Hielertz, followed quickly by Tom Heinertz. But now Myron Coppens, who also had a fair share of battling to do yesterday in the 244, goes second quickest by just 6/100ths of a second. Harnan now jumps up into 4th as Castro goes top. Now it's Ginchard's turn to hit the top in the 2:54 with a 56.237. We've gone past half-time distance in qualifying for Junior Max, and it is getting very, very interesting indeed. Top 2 separated by just 55 hundredths, as Van Vugt is starting to move forward, but has been quickly dropped from 3rd to 4th by JJ Racing teammate Maurice Schuring. And for those watching at home, you can now see them on the track heading through turn 3. So more changes happening at the top of the order. Tom Heinitz goes sub 56, 55.830. Coppens joins as well. Matthew Higgins jumps up into 3rd. Callum Boyson now goes into 7th as Tom Braken now hits the top 3. Tom Adams in 6th. Chris Harnan up to 4th. Summer Webb 12th. We now have 3 drivers. Make that 4. As Daniel Ginchard goes quickest of anybody in this session. He said to me last night he was lacking a little bit of power, but the corner speeds are going pretty well. So losing a little bit of top end. Looks like they might have rectified that a bit more this time. 55.657 for the Brit. Maurice Schuring ahead of Mike Van Vugt at 2nd and 3rd for the 2 JJ Racing drivers. Tom Heinitz, Jules Castro, Milan Coppens, Danny Van Dyke up to 7th. Chris Harnan up to 8th. Chris Harnan up to 9th behind Tom Braken. Matthew Higgins rounds out the top 10. And as I say that, Van Vugt down to 4th. Kai Helitz back up into 5th. As I say that, Coppens and Higgins go 4th and 5th. Heinitz up into 2nd, just 7/1,000 slower than Ginchard. Last 45 seconds. This is an absolute classic of a qualifying session. The times are coming down. Summer Webb up into 18th. Jules Castro up into 6th. But Daniel Ginchard again takes provisional pole by 1/1000th of a second. That is definitely the closest margin. And I tell you what, if Danny Van Dyke and Daniel Ginchard had set exactly the same lap time, on countback, Van Dyke would have taken pole, as Mike Van Vugt and Maurice Schuring make it a JJ Racing 1-2 with about 15 or so seconds on the clock. So Van Vugt a 55.510, Maurice Schuring a 55.620, Ginchard 5/1000ths off of the 2:14 at the minute. Checkered flag waves, that concludes the qualifying session. Coppens takes 7th, Zane in 15th, Will Jenkins 18th, Flint Schuring down in 20th. Callum Boyson hits the top 10 but only takes 10th place. Matthew Higgins jumps up to 3rd on his final attempt, but it's still to be decided. Ginchard goes ahead of Van Vugt by just 5/1000ths of a second on his final attempt. But what is going to happen when you look at the fact that you've still got Van Vugt, Tom Heinitz and Maurice Schuring? These could be the danger drivers right now. No, Van Vugt doesn't do it. Yet, no, actually he does. But what is going to... Now, where is Tom Heinitz? Heinitz is the only driver I haven't yet seen cross the finish line. So Ginchard had it. Where is Tom Heinitz? There he is. Here he comes. And he goes pole. Tom Heinitz steals it from Mike Van Vugt on the final attempt. So the 2:37 from the Netherlands makes it a Dutch 1-2, but has the upper hand on the current defending champion by 41/100ths of a second. So Tom Heinitz takes pole for Junior Max. What a session that was. Mike Van Vugt takes 2nd by 0.041. Then it's a further 0.013 to Daniel Ginchard. A 41/100th gap back to Danny Van Dyke in 4th. And then Maurice Schuring, 24/100ths adrift in 5th. Matthew Higgins. Oh, that would have been close. If he'd had another 10th and a half in the pocket, he would have taken pole. But he took 6th ahead of Chris Harnan, Milan Coppens, Jules Castro. Kai Helitz rounds out the top 10, just 4/1000ths of a second quicker than the UK's Callum Boyson. Drake Janssen, Jeffrey Fixter, Will Jenkins, Christian de Klein, Flint Schuring, Lars Zanen. Tom Adams will start from 18th, Tom Braken in 19th, Bart de Wit completes the top 20 ahead of Bruno Mulders, Summer Webb, Sam Bergstein, Axel Hansel and Jamil Rogers. The entire field separated by just over a second. And the gaps, pretty much, if you were to make I'm going to make a qualifying reference here. The DTM is currently racing at the Norris Ring. these gaps are reflective of what happened over multiple seasons where gaps were decided by not just even hundredths of a second, but thousandths of a second. And that's what we've had in that fantastic qualifying session. So their first race will definitely be one to watch later on this morning, and that will be at 11:40. We have 2 more qualifying sessions to go for day 2 of the second round of the 2019 BNL Karting Series season here at Mariembourg, and in about 7 minutes' time we will be going qualifying for Senior Max, 31 competitors, and it's been a very, very interesting race weekend for these drivers. It's been, I spoke with Charlie Turner last night, and he had a spark plug problem which curtailed his first race, which saw him at the Marshall Post number 2 off of turn 1. So we had major dramas for multiple drivers. So Kai Hunter had an issue, came back to finish very strongly, scythed his way through the field up to 15th at the flag of the first final. Then we also had a problem with Reese, who ended up not even starting the second final, having won the first one, I believe. He was on second position, so it changed the dynamics. Clayton Ravenscroft, I think, is still leading the point standings in the general order of things, but he had a 5-second penalty post race 1. But he came back to finish very, very strongly indeed yesterday. So in about just over 5 minutes' time, we'll go live with qualifying here at Karting in Mariembourg for Senior Max here under the cloudy Sunday morning conditions here at Mariembourg. So we'll find out very, very shortly who's going to take pole position in Senior Max for race 3 of 4 here at Karting d'Espagne. So green flag is out for qualifying for Senior Max. 5 minutes on the clock to go, and it's going to be an interesting one yet again. We had a great showing by Tom Heinertz taking pole in Junior Max qualifying. 31 competitors now out on track at the minute, so the likes of Dylan LaHaye, Clayton Ravenscroft, Sam Harrison, Manel Galofri-Torna, Alexander Luck, Lewis Gilbert, the dual-ride diamond, Marcus Rabny, Kieran Gifford, Brian Mossavarde, Victor Plateau, Mick Knowlton, who I've been talking to. I always make time to speak to that guy. He's a very honest character, is Mick Knowlton, and I think at the end of the day he's a good bloke. He says, I'm really, really busy at the moment. I said, I'm not surprised. And it's not just the racing, at the end of the days, we all do have lives to lead. We also have Charlie Turner, who has been looking forward to hitting the Control Alt Delete, sort of the reset button, if you will, to try and get the second day. Because you can have a couple of bad scores and use them as drop scores. Obviously, exclusions are not permitted under BNL karting regulations. As we've got our first few times coming in, Dylan LaHaye, who took 2 final wins yesterday, as far as I'm aware, is top of the times, ahead of Clayton Ravenscroft and Lewis Gilbert. And as you can see, those watching at home, there are people going side by side coming out of turn number 3, and we have Keen Sang. His mum actually collared me and said, I think you keep on getting his first name wrong, but it's quite funny that you say it that way. I go, I'll do my best. I'd rather people tell me how to say names if I'm mispronouncing them, but that's all the fun of commentary. You can get names completely wrong, and I know several of my commentary friends who have done so. And I will be honest, even I've done it. So you have to take things with a pinch of salt in life, otherwise it's not worth living. So at the moment, the times are dropping. We've gone sub 56 seconds, thanks to both. Well, actually, more than just both Dylan LaHaye. Kieran Gifford's just hit the top of the field. Make now Patrick Rundqvist added into that mix. And we have the top 7 now under 56 seconds. So Rundqvist from Sweden leads from Gifford, Lockwood, LaHaye. Kalin makes it 2 Swedes in the top 5 ahead of Ravenscroft, Galofri-Torna. Bersis from Greece up into 8th ahead of Benoit and Van de Candelera from Belgium. So 3 Belgians in the top 10, including Dylan LaHaye. Alexander Luck in 11th. Lewis Gilbert running in 12th position at the moment. Bramo Civada in 13th. Sam Harrison in 14th. Guilherme de Oliveira, the Portuguese cat amongst the proverbial pigeons. I'm sure that will please Paulo de Oliveira, his dad, who mentioned that on Facebook. As we've just had Galofri-Torna go first, ahead of Ravenscroft by just 96 hundredths of a second. Lewis Gilbert is a further 2 thousandths of a second adrift off of the 329. Georgios Bersis in 4th. Guilherme de Oliveira up into 4th now. Leroy Jägersar from the Netherlands, always a quick peddler, up into 7th as Charlie Turner now hits the top 5. The Brit goes 5th, but Mick Knowlton now resurgent in 4th position on a 55.015. We have gone sub 55 seconds. We've got less than 90 seconds to go as Ilian Brunsils hits the top, just over a tenth of a second ahead of the UK's Reese Hunter, who was the last driver to leave the the pre-grid. Hunter's done a 54.801. Galofri-Torna, Ravenscroft, Gilbert, Knowlton, de Oliveira, Kai Hunter, Charlie Turner, Georgios Bersis ran out the top 10. Herbal from France goes 5th as Galofri-Torna and Gilbert hit 2nd and 3rd respectively. Kian Sang goes up into 10th place now, but quickly drops to 12th as Storm Brouwer puts in an absolute flyer. Storm puts in a 54.508. That's nearly 2 tenths of a second quicker than Ilian Brunsils. So Storm Brouwer from the Netherlands in a 3.88 could spring a surprise here on day 2 of round 2 of BNL 2019. As Kai Hunter closes the gap down to just under 2 tenths between himself and Storm Brouwer. Brunsils now back up into 2nd position. Brouwer is still holding on to provisional pole. There is 20 seconds remaining in this session. 5 minutes of qualifying about to come to its inevitable conclusion. And the top 30 separated by just over 1.2 seconds. Lewis Gilbert goes 3rd. Ben Donkin up to 15th. Van de Candelera up to 28th. Kieran Gifford 14th now. Storm Brouwer does a 54.517. Does anyone have an answer? I'm looking out for Brunsils, Gilbert, the two hunters. Looking at Charlie Turner. Guilherme de Oliveira qualifies in 12th. Charlie Turner starts in 10th. Mick Knowlton in 18th. Kai Hunter takes 3rd. And Reese Hunter goes up to 2nd. Ilian Brunsils 3rd. So, the drivers that I'm looking out for now. Dylan LaHaye, Clayton Ravenscroft, Manel Garofritona, Teddy Clinton, Lewis Gilbert. And also, what is Storm Brouwer's last attempt going to be? Here come the answers right now, thick and fast. Rundqvist drops to 10th as Ravencroft takes 8th, LaHaye 9th. Garofritona 7th. I don't think anyone's going to have an answer. Could it be that we have Storm Brouwer taking pole position here at round 2 for day 2 of the action here? That looks to be the case, so I'm going to really put this out there. Day 2, round 2 of the 2019 BNL Karting Series season sees Storm Brouwer from the Netherlands in the 388 take pole position. That was a mighty lap from the Dutch driver. And in second, by just 32 hundredths, was the UK's Teddy Clinton. Reese Hunter makes it a Brit 2-3. Brunsils in 4th. Kai Hunter, Lewis Gilbert, Manel Garofritona, Clayton Ravenscroft, Dylan LaHaye and Patrick Rundqvist round out the top 10. And the top 10 separated by literally a fraction under 3/10. Charlie Turner will start 11th alongside Portugal's Guilherme de Oliveira. Leroy Jägersar in 13th. Kieran Gifford and Andreas Hebert from France round out the top 15. Following that, it's Ben Donkin, Jason Lockwood, Mick Knowlton, Kian Sang, Georgios Bersis, Clementine Benoit, Christian Cuya, Rick Boothorn, Sam Harrison, Alexander Luck, Bram Ossevarde, Lorenzo Stolk, Victor Plateau, Hughes Van de Candelera, Elias Kalin, and Marcus Radney actually only completed 1 lap in qualifying and was 9 seconds off the pace. So the Swede has, again, unfortunately got a lot of work to do in the first race for this category, for Senior Max. But when it was all said and done, the dust has settled, but the storm raged through with Storm Brouwer taking pole from Teddy Clinton by 32 hundredths. Expect fireworks in the third of 4 finals. But very, very shortly, ladies and gentlemen, in around about 7 minutes' time, we will have our final qualifying session of this weekend for DD2 and DD2 Masters. 18 drivers, 1,388 metres of the asphalt here at Karting de Fan in Mariembourg to conclude the qualifying phase for day 2 of round 2 of BNL Karting Series 2019. We're now underway for the final qualifying session of the weekend. The time has started ticking away, and as Tamsin Germain now comes out of pit lane, one of the DD2 Masters drivers, she said it's a very physical track. It's the first time she's been here. Madeleine Radney was very, very open and honest with Ben van der Stucken yesterday about that in places there is so much grip, because obviously a racing driver will know through the seat of their, basically the seat of their pants, which is basically where their coccyx is sitting in the actual seat itself, and that's the real telling point from a racing driver, how they can identify whether the back end is stepping out, if there's a bit too much understeer coming into a corner, is there an issue with the suspension. There's minimal suspension on karting these days, and they have a finite amount of leeway, let's say, a finite amount of leeway in terms of what they can and can't adjust. Obviously, tyre pressures is one thing, but even those have restrictions on them, as do a lot of racing series nowadays. So, first banker laps coming in. Tamsin Germain is at the top of the times at the moment. The Brit in the 5:25 just put in a 58.569. So the colder conditions starting to help a little bit. Sunny Bekian from the Netherlands goes top with a 57.559. David Remy in second. Tamsin Germain followed by Jan Schwitter, Madeleine Radney, Karl Klebort, who did the double again. So we've got two drivers in the BNL karting series that have actually taken a clean sweep of 6 wins over the first day and a half, effectively, the first half of the season. So drivers coming to complete more laps. So Jan Gussens warming up. Alexander Vermeulen doing the same. So they've just put in like 1 minute 9s, 1 minute 8s. Ronald Billings goes up into 11th position as Tamsin Germain. Did a really good lap just then, a 55.428 from the Brit. So Sunny Bekian, Jan Schwitter takes provisional pole, but then David Remy responds with a 54.911. Karl Klebort, also as quick as always, is the fastest baker from Flanders, 55.034 from the 5:10. Jan Schwitter, Jamie Billings, Tamsin Germain ran out the top 5, all separated by just over half a second. 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go in qualifying here. So just waiting for the likes of Schwitter, Gussens and Vermeulen to cross the start-finish line. Looks like Gussens has just done so and goes up into 4th, ahead of Dionysius Livris, also known as DJ. Schwitter on his next lap goes to within 17 hundredths of David Remy, so the 4:12. Again, showing his prowess as the defending BNL Karting Series DD2 champion from 2018. Jan Schwitter goes top, 54.590 from the Swiss ace. Karl Klebort jumps up into 3rd and goes sub 55. 54.795 from the Belgians. Under Schwitter and Jan Gussens complete the top 5. So 3 Belgians in the top 5 with a Swiss and a a Swiss driver and a Swedish driver leading the way. But then it's quickly changed by Dionysius Livris. So 4 different nationalities in the top 4. So Schwitter, Remy, Livris, and as I say that, Jan Gussens comes to spoil the party a little bit with around 54 seconds remaining. Jan Gussens takes provisional pole at the moment, 54.514 from the Belgian. So Tamsin Germain moves up into 8th place. She puts in a 55.070. That is second in class, and she is about 2 3/4 tenths of a second behind Karl Klebort. So, time fast running out. Less than 30 seconds to go. So, just waiting for more times. Dionysius Livris goes up into 2nd place. 21 hundredths off of Jan Gussens and has crossed the start-finish line. More importantly, before the time has expired. 3, 2, 1... That is it. Time's up. Checkered flag waves. That concludes qualifying for day 2, round 2, here in the BNL Karting Series for 2019. Schwitter only manages as high as 4th. Vermeulen 8th. Germain will end up at least second in class, at the very least, but just seeing where she is in relation to Christophe Adams. David Remy goes provisionally second, 13 hundredths off of Goossens, which drops Liveris down to third at the minute. But what does the Greek driver have in store for us? Could he storm to pole? He's taken 2 wins this weekend as Liveris crosses the line. Oh, it's not enough. He didn't make it. No, he didn't have it. He was a tenth slower on that final lap. Goossens crosses the line now. And I think he secured it. Now, where is Jan Schwitter? Jan Schwitter is currently 4th in the running order of things. So Jan Goossens, I think, has taken pole. Yep, that's been confirmed. Jan Goossens on home soil at Karting de Fagne in Mariembourg in southeast Belgium takes pole position from Sweden's David Remy by 0.013 of a second. Dionysius Liveris takes third ahead of Switzerland's Jan Schwitter. Sebastian de Grand is behind Zander Schublak, with Karl Klibort taking pole position in DD2 Masters in 7th overall, ahead of Alexander Vermeulen. Jamie Billings jumps up to 9th ahead of Christophe Linien. So Tamsin Germain, by just 7 1/1000ths of a second, misses out on second position in class, but we know how quick she has been this weekend. She's hoping for more pace today. She starts from 11th, but 3rd in DD2 Masters. Alexander Tsanibekian from the Netherlands in the 463 starts from 12th, ahead of Christophe Adams in the treble 5 in 13th. Madeleine Radney will start 14th, ahead of Roland Kinch, Fritz Wernsen, Alexander Derlinger and Ronald Billings rounding out the entire 18 strong, with the top 17 split by just under 1.5 seconds. So that's it for qualifying for Day 2, Round 2, BNL Karting Series Season 2019 here in Mariembourg. And the racing action gets underway at 11 o'clock this morning. So we'll be back on the air just before 11 o'clock this morning as we kickstart the business end of Round 2 here at Karting de Fagne.